Alright, so a lot of this is going to be pretty new to me. I don't typically do a lot of heavy-duty restoration of tanks. Y'all have seen my tank dent popping video. I might pop a dent out of a tank when I'm working on a bike, or if it's really nasty, I'll give it a quick coat of, of spray paint just out of the can or whatever. But I recently decided that I wanted to get a little bit better at it and wanted to do a little bit better job because I'm working on a bike now, which is right there, which was featured in my points video that y'all might recognize from some of my very first videos. I was working on this bike about 2 years ago. It's a 77 CB550 cafe racer. I was working about 2 years ago on it, and I gave it back to my friend, and he rode it around a little bit and then let it sit, and it gummed up again in the carbs, and so he sold it to somebody else, who and eventually made its way back to me, and now I own it. So it's kind of a strange turn of events, but I obviously got it running. I jetted it properly, and the tank was really nasty, so now I'm going to do my best to clean it up. What I've done so far is obviously I've stripped it down with this aircraft remover. So strong it will remove an aircraft. No, this stuff is awesome. You just spray it on and it totally dissolves all the paint and everything. And you can just scrape the paint off with like a plastic dowel, or I used a piece of wood actually and just scraped it all off. You can see there's still some pieces around here that are left, and it's starting to flash rust, which is why you when you take the paint off, you really want to at least put a primer coat down as quick as possible. I've been waiting a couple days on it because I've been waiting to get my camera back so I could film this process. But you guys want to paint it as quick as possible. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to clean it up some. I went the super cheap route and went to Harbor Freight, got me a little blast gun, and we're going to see how that works. Another reason why I don't typically do a lot of painting or sandblasting or anything like that is because I've only got a 3-gallon air compressor. So, it's good for blowing up tires and shit, but not so good for air tools. So we'll see how it does, and I'll let you guys know. Right now I'm going to be using this gun to blast it down a little bit, and the medium I have chosen is baking soda. Why baking soda for a tank? Well, baking soda is a really soft medium. I definitely don't want to damage the tank, especially this being my first time really working on stuff like this. Also, it's dissolvable in water, so if I get some in the tank, I can just wash it out without having to worry about sand getting in the tank. So I'll let you guys know how this works, and we'll see it in action. Alright, so I'm going to be filling this up. And this gun requires a PSI of 90, and my compressor only really goes up to like 125, and it's only a 3-gallon, so I don't think I'll be able to do too much spraying at one time, but we'll see how it goes. Remember, safety first. If you guys have a respirator, then definitely use that. I'm just going to be tying a hanky around my face, and I'll cap it, and I'm going to charge up the compressor. So this is working really well so far. I just decided to take it outside for a little bit more ventilation and a little bit away from my cat's habitat. So I'm going to keep on going. Alright, so it did a pretty good job, but as you guys can see, there's still some larger surface rust that it wasn't able to get off too well. So I busted out my power sander and some 400 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to go at it. While I'm setting that up, you guys think of your favorite Robert Downey Jr. Joke, and we'll see what this sander's able to do. Alright, so that actually did a pretty decent job. As you can see, there's some discoloration from where the rust got down into the metal a little bit further than other places. That's not really going to bother me. A lot of guys will just sand and sand and sand until the whole thing is absolutely spotless silver. For me, what I do is I just will run my hand on it, just like that, and just feel for any rough spots or any high spots or spots that I've missed. And if it feels smooth to me, then that's good enough. This thing's going to get a couple layers of primer, and then a couple layers of paint, and then a clear coat. So, especially for the fact that I'm going to be using filler primer, if there's just a little bit of imperfections, that's really not going to be so bad. Now what I got to do is I'm going to fill in a couple places with Bondo. Like this place right here where the emblem used to be. The emblems on this bike were really messed up, so I'm not going to be reusing them. But I've got there. I'm going to try and pop that dent out there. If I can't, then I'll just do a little bit of Bondo, or I don't know what I'm going to do on that dent. But this one right here is pretty much unpoppable. So that one's definitely going to get Bondoed. Alright, so in preparation for this Bondo, I've got a little piece of 60 grit sandpaper here, and I'm just going to scuff this area up a little bit so the Bondo sticks better. Just like that. I'm going to go around to all the places I'm going to apply Bondo and do the same. Alright, now we wait for that to dry. Alright, we're looking pretty sharp. Got a lot more rust off. All feels very smooth. Now it is time to prime. Alright, I made myself a nice little wooden cradle for this tank. Got my filler primer. And I'm just gonna get to priming. So I know that the spray can isn't ideal. I'm still waiting for my paints to arrive in the mail, and I didn't want to spend another 25 bucks on primer for the spray gun. So I'm just using this spray. Something I've been using is long fluid paint strokes like this. It's something that my father taught me when I was like 10 years old, is that you start and you stop away from your object. So I would like never start here and go off, you know, or I never come and start here, you know. I start and just continue and like spray off into the air. Even still, I'm getting a little bit of drips, which is fine. I'm probably going to wet sand this a little bit, but I'm going to continue on going. Looking pretty good. I'm just going to let this thing incubate in the hot Florida sun. It's a good 65 or 70 degrees today on the 15th of December. Going to come back in a few hours, give this thing another coat of primer, basically just empty the bottle. And yeah, then we should be good to go. Alright, so I've sprayed it and sanded it and sprayed it and sanded it a couple times throughout the day. Now I'm going to let it dry, its final dry, and put it into safe storage while I wait for my paints to arrive in the mail. Alrighty, I chose this fine automotive paint here, and ideally I'd be working in a shop, in a spray booth, but I don't have either of those, so this nice sunny windless day is just gonna have to do. This paint has no recoat window, which means I don't have to wait for it to dry to put on the next coat. So I can just spray and spray and spray and spray until I have a nice, thick, red layer. Alright, so it looks pretty good, but it's drying in sort of this mottled appearance. Just that it's got these itty bitty little ridges in it. So what I'm going to try doing this time is I'm going to spray it all again, but I'm going to go in sort of like a swirly motion. See if that dries out a little bit better. Spraying on the stripe. It's going to be slick. Well, I got to do a little bit of touch up. Right there. Ooh, we are looking sweet. I was dumping clear coat on it and look what I did. Fuck. Oh well. Sand it down, repaint. Almost there. Badass. That looks so cool. I thought the tank looked so good that I decided to do the seat too. Super pleased with how it turned out. And so this is a pretty little thing. If you guys are into old school arcade games, you remember this button.